they'll think it means living to 100 or biohacking or those ice baths or something just reserved for the rich and famous.
The last 12.3 years are spent in bed, and globally everywhere else it's about 10 years spent in bed.
Caucasian adults in the West are more likely to be independent and mobile in their later years compared to people of color.
Because I'm seeing more and more autoimmune diseases in men as well. Men never had thyroid diseases. It was always used to be women. 1 in 2, 1 in 3 women used to have it. Now men have it and it's worse.
In our background, there's an expectation
Exactly.
that we will be dependent on our children because we raised them and therefore we have rights over them.
If you look at a cancer patient and if you go back into their stress levels, whether it's childhood, whether it's their teenagers, middle years, marriage years, whatever, you will always track stress with a cancer patient. People will always challenge you. You know, you're thin, people will say, oh, what's wrong with you? You gain weight, people are saying, what's wrong with you? Nobody around you is ever going to be happy.
People are okay with spending on a holiday in the car or in the house, but to ask them perhaps to spend on a blood test or something that's not covered by insurance, it doesn't make sense to them. Because
respect yourself, love yourself, be patient, and put some boundaries, check and balances to yourself. That's how I would say it. Don't wait till it's too late.
We were never taught to think about our health before we got sick. My guest today is a clinical director in longevity medicine. She works with cancer patients, trains physicians, and speaks on stages around the world. But at the heart of everything she does is one obsession: understanding why diseases happen in the first place. Welcome to Reflections and Realizations. I'm Alvina, and today I'm joined by Dr. Rahat, a longevity physician who believes that living well comes down to the small, everyday habits you either choose or ignore. And her view is simple: if you truly loved yourself, you'd start today. If you're new here, Reflections and Realizations is a podcast about real people, real challenges, and the lessons they carry with them. If this conversation resonates, if it makes a difference in your life, if you enjoy what you hear, please like and subscribe. It's how we reach the people who need it most. Welcome, Dr. Rahat, to Villa 58. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm going to start right from the beginning. Most doctors go into medicine to treat illnesses, but you've built your career around understanding why do illnesses take place in the first place. Where did that come from?
Okay. So I was one of those doctors, conventional medicine. Of course, that's where I started my career from. So kudos to all of that. That's where I learned my principles, what's right, what's wrong, because you need to know the mechanics first. And then, of course, years into it, I started asking myself the question, why? Because, I mean, in this day and age where we have everything at our doorstep, we are richer than we used to be, AI is available, but the diseases are getting more and more. And each time a new medication comes in and everybody goes for it, but nobody's understanding why the disease itself is getting worse. So then I asked myself, we need to dig into it, ask the reason why. And I think when I started that, that's where it all started.
I love that, because why is what drives you. You have to go back to, and sometimes we can get lost. We can be doing something for years and years and years, and we don't know why we're doing it.
Exactly.
So I love that you explored your why and your career.
And that's where it paved my path. Until now, because everything is a why. Every single day I ask myself, and I think that's where I paved my path in a different direction.
So now would you call yourself a longevity doctor or a preventative medicine? Like what's the actual term? Because it's so new.
You're right, and it's still new and it's still a difficult one. So, I mean, people would classify myself as either a longevity physician or a preventive medicine physician or a functional physician. So you can use any category, but they're all overlap. And the basis and the idea is the same. Finding out why and then optimizing yourself. It's basically classified into two: prevention and optimization. So that's where we go.
Makes sense. Many people are talking about longevity these days. So that's the one that the listeners will be most familiar with. But I feel they're misunderstanding it. They'll think it means living to 100 or biohacking or those ice baths or something just reserved for the rich and famous. What are they getting wrong?
So very interesting question, because that's exactly where, when I started and people said, it's just for the rich, it's just for the people who have money in their pocket. It's actually not. And again, if you sit with your client, have a conversation with them and explain to them, then they will understand it's for everyone. Ice baths are part of it. So don't get me wrong. I do, tell people to do that. But it is not about living till 100 because, we all know we have a time to go and nobody can change that. It's all about living that life to the maximum. I mean, if you look at statistics across US, the last 12.3 years are spent in bed. And globally, everywhere else, it's about 10 years spent in bed. Whatever that age for us is decided. So what we want to change that is that however you live, till whenever you live to the maximum. You're able to enjoy yourself, whatever you want to do. So that's where people are getting it wrong. It's not extending your lifespan. It's actually extending and optimizing your health span.
So expand on that. What is the difference between health span and lifespan? How would you?
So lifespan is when people will think that I'm adding years to their life. It's actually not that. Nobody can do that. It's actually adding life to their years. So living to the maximum.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of us are at that stage now where we're at that age, the generation where we watched our elders and our parents get sick. And we're now at that age when it happened. Would you say that's inevitable, the diseases associated with old age?
Mm-hmm. No. So that's where people get it wrong. So first, I'll take a step back because people blame our elders, our parents, that it's in my genes, it's in my genetics, I'm going to get diabetes, I'm going to get cholesterol. Our generation especially, when they come to me, that's what they say. My mom has it, my dad has it, I'm bound to have it. No, that's where we need to stop. Because genetics is only, if you really push it, 15 to 20%. 80% is what we do to ourselves. So that's first of all, we need to understand that what we do to ourselves now is what we're going to see in the next decades. So it's basically investing in your bank allowance. That's how I always say it. It's a blank check, however you fill it, whatever the number you want to fill it. So whatever you're going to do in these years, you're going to prevent yourself from actually getting the disease. That's what people need to understand. Because the disease doesn't stand, the old age, the aging, it's nothing like that. It's what's happening years before it. So if you develop diabetes today, it didn't happen yesterday or a month ago. It happened years ago. So that's what we need to start thinking. Invest in yourself now. This is the best time. So then you don't have to see and go through what our parents did. That's how I would think.
So you're basically today thinking about your future self.
Absolutely.
And what would you like that to look like?
100%. Absolutely. We always think about, okay, we want to retire, we want to have a pension. Why are we not thinking about ourselves? Because even what I say is, even if you buy a most expensive car, buy a Ferrari, you will still send them every year to see what's going on. The engine, the bestest of the best engine can go wrong. So when people tell me, nothing is wrong with me, I'm not feeling anything, why should I do it? The thing is, you should be doing it now to exactly find out how to prevent and optimize so we don't have a car which stops, the engine stops.
It's interesting because I think things are changing now, but it's very slowly. Like diabetes that you mentioned, back in the day, it was if you had diabetes, here's the pill, you're going to take it for the rest of your life. No one talked about how it could have been prevented or even how it can be reversed. Something has changed even in the medical field. Like what's changing now? Why are conversations now different?
Because I think we're starting to understand. So yes, there are still few people who are, even physicians. I mean, don't get me wrong, even in our own industry, we have to make the physicians understand that there is actually a different twist to it. But people are having this dialogue. Things like this, there is so much awareness, like you and me talking today is going to go and, so many people are going to actually watch it. So these conversations, these dialogues we are having are actually taking that shift. So we need to keep on doing it. Even if I see, people say, not many people understand it. Is it really worth it? Absolutely, because me and you can make that difference.
Totally.
Yeah.
And do these little experiments on myself as well. So one of the things I did is I wore a continuous glucose monitor for 2 weeks and it opened my eyes. It really did, because it wasn't just I can't eat this and I can eat this. It was also what time I can eat it or how I can eat it. And it's like I wouldn't have known if I didn't have the data on me. So tell me about uncontrolled blood sugar levels and why should we be worried?
Okay, so interesting you say that because I did the same to myself and it was game changing because I do intermittent fasting. I've been doing it for 12 years. And even that, it was surprising what one thing can cause the blood sugars to go up, which I didn't even know myself. So the high blood sugars, which most of the population is living with, honestly, including kids these days, it is the fire, which we really need to stop as soon as we can, because it causes inflammation in our body. So, when we talk about diabetes, we talk about cardiovascular disease, heart diseases, cancer, which is on the rise. 7,000 new cases are diagnosed only in Dubai or in the region on a yearly basis, imagine. Oh. And this is just the expat population. Wow. And the statistics are then 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women by the age of 2030 will have cancer. So it's on such a big rise. Until date, nobody's been able to understand why. It is the high blood sugar. It is the inflammation it causes. The metabolic shift it causes in our body. So we really need to make that change. So as you said, the CGM, I tell all my clients to wear it because people have the Whoop, they wear it, they look at the data, but what are we actually doing from it? We're collecting the data, but we need to intervene. So I would really tell everyone, wear a CGM for 2 weeks. I did the same. And then actually I was intrigued and I did it for another 2 weeks because it was just mind-blowing. And understand your own physiology because every individual is different. You could be different from your husband, even though you're, Asian. A Caucasian and Asian could be completely different. You with, your friend could be completely different. So your own data and reflecting on it is what you need. And once you know that, it's surprisingly, if I was shocked. I fast and then I opened my fast with a green apple. It spiked. You would think I'm just having an apple and I've fasted for 12 to 18 hours, different days, but it did that for me. So you need to know what you're actually putting in your body and how it's reacting.
Completely. So me and my husband, we did it together and we eat the same food, but we'd be getting different readings.
There you go.
So for me, I couldn't take rice at all, but he could take rice better than I could. For him, he learned that he had an orange, a whole orange. So it's like, I'm not even drinking the juice. It's just an orange, but
it spiked the sugar. There you go.
So now you look at these things.
That's like my green apple.
But it's really useful to know what it does, like you said, individually to yourself.
That's precision.
We're not the same. We might all be like South Asians, but we're all reacting differently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where it comes, that understanding your own body, that's where precision. So like when you said, is it longevity? Is it functional? It's precision. You could classify anything. It is precision medicine where you actually, so what we do is we look at your individual biomarkers and we then tweak things just for you. That's super important because till now what's happening is we're using one fits all kind of the phrase. It does not. It's a completely different thing. So once you do precision medicine, things change.
Completely makes sense in it. And I'm thinking again to that one metformin that's given to everyone at the same dose with the same, that's it. That's what we do.
Exactly.
Medicine doesn't look like that anymore.
Absolutely.
Things have changed so much.
Absolutely.
So speaking of that, longevity, I follow on your social media, your longevity diaries.
Thank you very much.
And they're very informative. Why did you start them?
Very good question. So I used to always ask this question to myself. What's the purpose of my life? Because everyone has a purpose. Of course, you do in a rut, you do whatever. And then when I came into longevity and I kind of saw that people are actually really seeing the difference, I felt it has to go through the mass media. Everybody needs to understand. But the thing is that, we sometimes bombard too much information. So I thought, no, let's just do one simple change on a daily basis. And it's 365 days. And even if people don't follow me or see it here and there, and if they can make one change a day, that for me is good enough. Let's put it that way, because that one change can go a long way. And because everybody can't do everything. For whatever reason, it doesn't fit into their routine. They don't have access to it, different lives. So even a few things, that can make a big difference.
I think what I love about those tips is how easy and simple they are and how much we underestimate how important they are. So one of your tips was on day 68, where you said your morning sets the biology for the rest of the day, and you recommend that we get out within 30 minutes of waking up and get direct sunlight into our body. What's going on at that time?
So see, most of the diseases are happening because we're not doing that. Because we're underestimating the power of what we've been given by, Almighty, which is the sunshine. So we have a internal biological clock. And what we're doing is we're ruining that. Once we go in the sun, the cortisol, which is the most of our biggest hormone, which is good in some ways but bad in most ways, melatonin, which is our sleep hormone, insulin, all of that shifts in the right direction. And then we set the tone for the day. Our metabolism, our mood, our emotional resilience, everything set, there is a tone set to it. What we're doing is we are going against nature. We're doing everything against nature. That's the problem. That's where the diseases are coming. So we're not going out in the sun. We're not setting that tone, which is meant to be set for the day. Our hormones are all over the place. Then we have a sedentary life, most of us, including myself. We spend most of our days indoors where there is no sunshine. And then we come out at 7 o'clock in the night when there is no sunshine. So we are not getting what is meant to do is shift that hormonal pattern.
And
that's why.
And it's making us sick. And
That's
we don't know why it's making us sick.
Absolutely. That's exactly the point. Because our cortisol and melatonin is all over the place.
So I remember in COVID, I was in a situation during lockdown where I had a 6-year-old at home, a 4-year-old, and I just had a baby as well. And I remember saying to my husband, I go to sleep with the sound of a baby crying and I wake up to the sound of a child crying or fighting. I just need some time alone. But my only alone time was after Fajr. So I started my morning walks, and since then I've been hooked because I just did it for my mental health.
Exactly.
But it benefited everything from my thyroid to my insulin to my mood. And that's not even what I set off to do.
Yeah.
But I noticed later when I had my annual bloods that, wow, where's my antibodies gone?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
Oh, the sun.
There you
the
go.
sun
There
done
you
for
go.
them.
So that's what I'm saying. We're underestimating the power of what is free. Like that's the thing. And it's just not you. I mean, with this example you've given, it's a great example. And loads of people actually either went in this direction where they gained weight and got sicker, or actually improved, like yourself, started exercising. It just not benefited you, it's actually benefited the entire family.
Oh, for sure.
Because if your mood is good, they all are happy.
I was a happier mom.
That's
there was
it.
less crying and fighting in the
There
household.
you go. And it's the same thing is going to happen, but you'll be able to control yourself. That's where I always say, if you are in control and check of yourself by doing all those things, everything around you is balanced. That's what we need.
Totally.
Yeah.
So even though that tip is so simple, the other tip it helped my sleep as well.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I feel we don't talk about enough, how important it is to protect our sleep.
Amazing.
Tell me, why is it a problem if a person doesn't get sufficient sleep at night?
See, that's where I start. So if a client comes and spends, usually they come and spend about an hour with me. I start with the sleep actually, because that is again one of the things which we take it for granted. Minimum 7 hours. I mean, people used to say 7 to 9. Now we've negotiated between 7 to 8 because 9 is a little bit difficult for people like ourselves who are working. But 7 hours is the bare minimum. And why? Because that's where all those hormones, remember I talked about the cortisol, the melatonin, the insulin, that's where it settles in. And that's where all the repair takes place. So all the damaged cells, because whatever we do, whether it's a good stress or bad stress, our bodies are in stress. We wake up in the morning, we have a routine, everybody has a different way of life, but our body is stressed with all the things which we do. The sleep gets rid of those damaged cells and all the ups and downs of our hormones, which happen during the day. So what happens is when we don't sleep for the 7 hours, we're in debt. So we are automatically collecting that debt, and that little repair is not happening. Now we accumulate that, and then eventually, like our bank balance will be finished, our body is damaged. And that's where then the diseases happen, because I call that as chronic stress. That's where then people start developing cancer or heart diseases or diabetes. So that's why the sleep is where everything starts. Sleep well, you will wake up and then you'll go to the sun, and then the whole day you will see you won't eat wrong things, because normally if you're chronically stressed, you didn't sleep very well, you wake up tired and irritated, you'll go for that nice smelling croissant from the coffee shop and you'll indulge. Whereas if you are in check, you will not give in, because you're in check of yourself.
Completely. And it's amazing how much is connected. Like for me to have that good sleep at night, I need that sunshine in the morning because it helps me to feel tired at night.
Exactly.
Without the sunshine,
I'm
wired at the wrong times.
That's it.
So it all comes together. But again, simple things. Simple things. And does it matter what time you go to sleep as well?
I mean, ideally, yes. But then I always have this a caveat that we don't want to push things where people can't do it. So I have couples which say, my husband comes at 9 o'clock. So those are the 2-3 hours I spend with my husband. So will I say, no, you have to go to sleep at 10? No, because that social connection is also important. So yes, going to bed, early to bed, early to rise is still the concept, but you can tweak around it. So if you can sleep at about, so I also negotiate with my clients, if you sleep at 11, as long as you're getting your 7 hours of sleep, I'm okay with that. So you have to do something which is possible.
Completely.
That's important.
So you mentioned chronic stress, and I can't help but think, particularly when I think about my elders growing up in the UK, they got sick very early, like in their 30s, whether that was heart disease or diabetes. And I'm not convinced that it was all lifestyle choices. I believe, especially in that time in the UK, they were carrying a lot. They were making sacrifices, enduring, never complaining, never asking for help.
Yeah.
And I do question that, does stress make us sick as well? And do we underestimate the role that stress plays in our lives?
100%. Absolutely. And that's why we need to identify those triggers which, stress causes in ourselves. Because stress is another one which causes inflammation. Because then it doesn't let you to sleep well. It causes that repair to be affected. It creates a storm in your body, basically. That's how I say. All these things. So everybody says, can I fix this and I'll get better? No, actually, it's multifactorial. Because if you're stressed, for sure your sleep is affected. For sure your food is poor. So it's all interconnected, but all has their individual roles to play in your life, to be honest.
Because I feel like so many people are well-intentioned, but they'll be at work in a really stressful environment.
Yeah.
Then they'll rush to the gym and then they'll hit it hard, which is a form of stress as well.
Agree.
Then they'll sleep late and they might try to eat well, but because the stress level hasn't been addressed, it's still harmful to their health, even
Absolutely.
if they're ticking so many boxes.
100%.
Like health, like exercise and diet.
Absolutely. That's why. So, like normally I encourage my clients to do breathing techniques, So simple 2 to 3 minutes you can spend, whether in the morning, whether in the evening, anywhere in the middle of the day as well. But that brings your cortisol down. That kind of puts yourself in check again. So again, it's one of the small tips I tell, people know 4x4 or 4-6-8, whatever works for you. Meditation, yoga, anything which works. After prayers, Fajr, spend 2-3 minutes, but get that stress level down. So normally because I do oncology as well, like lifestyle medicine and oncology. And if you track back, because I always go back to their childhood, and if you look at a cancer patient and if you go back into their stress levels, whether it's childhood, whether it's their teenagers, middle years, marriage years, whatever, you will always track stress with a cancer patient.
And you've always found it?
Always. It could be a house going on fire. It could be a divorce. It could be a parent dying at a much early age. It could be anything and everything. But every single time I've digged deeper into it, there is stress.
It's almost like therapy.
Really. That's why.
But life is hard. Those things do happen. The divorces do happen. The house does get burned down.
100%.
So then what do you do? Because life will happen.
That's true. But that's where you need to check yourself. You need to see, okay, this has happened. What do I do now? Cry for help, Always, basically, that's what lifestyle or longevity is about. You look at 6 different pillars and all go together. So if you are doing everything else, but you're living in isolation. So you're going to the gym, you're exercising well, you're sleeping well, but you're living your life in isolation. That's going to be a problem. So you need to have that social connection. You need to have that loneliness skills. You need to have that, friends of yours, which you can go maybe once a week, once in 2 weeks, go and catch a coffee with them. So that's why you need to have those connections and you need to identify those right now. That's why it's super important for us to see what friends our kids are hanging out with. That's where it starts from. Because if they start with hanging out with the wrong crowd, that goes on with them throughout their life. They start vaping early. They start trying things early, drugs, everything. And that's what destroys everything. So things go wrong, as you said, things happen. Nobody has a perfect life, nobody. But you need to have those check and balances in your life every now and then, whether somebody else checks in with you or you check in with yourself. That's why you can, avoid those stresses or find a way to deal with them.
I think, in my personal opinion, it's harder for women because women are exposed for longer periods of time with chronic stress. And I think people are now connecting autoimmune diseases to women, that they're more likely to have them because of what they carry. So is this what they mean when they say that the body keeps the score?
Yes and no. Because what I feel is that, yes, absolutely right, that women are more prone to it for whatever reasons. You know, we're in your parents' house, you know, you can't do certain things. Nowadays it's a rebellious, place. So the girls will always fight, well, my brother can do it, I can't do it. So it starts from there, actually. And sometimes I think women start calling themselves as victims. I think we need to take that shift a little bit as well. So I understand that women are at risk, but if you look at the statistics, male are at equal risk nowadays. And mostly more my women, listeners probably won't like this, but we need to understand that if we want the same like men these days, we want to be paid the same way, we want to be treated the same way, we need to understand our male partners as well. Because if they are also chronically stressed, they bring that stress as well. So if you're working in a relationship, in a partnership, I think it will help us. And we will shift from that constant stresses which we put to ourselves, make them your partners in changing those diapers. Why do you have to do it? Okay? Set those rules from the beginning. Make lunch and ask him to make the dinner. Fight for it. And I know it's not easy. And some cultures, it's not easy at all. Again, from our culture, Southeast Asian, in Pakistan, India, maybe it won't be easier. But we are fighting towards it, isn't it? So let's take that to that different level as well, because I'm seeing more and more autoimmune diseases in men as well. Men never had thyroid diseases. It was always used to be women. 1 in 2, 1 in 3 women used to have it. Now men have it and it's worse. So I feel we need to take that shift a little bit. You probably were not expecting this answer from me.
No, I love the answer. It's actually something I feel strongly about as well.
I'm so happy to hear that.
We had a conversation recently with another guest who's talked about how we shouldn't make our identity. Like it happened, but that doesn't mean you're a victim now.
Exactly.
What do you do from here? Where do you go from here? But it's easier to make it our identity.
Yes.
It's harder to ask for help, set the boundaries, make change.
That's what I'm saying. And that's why women suffer more, because they don't have those boundaries. And we constantly kind of see that, this is bound to happen, just like your genetics. So we need to make that change. We have to try and work towards it. I mean, you've made this change. You're doing this podcast, talking about it. We need to be aware about it.
But it's hard work.
It's hard work.
It's easier not to do the hard work, right?
Absolutely. And that's what it is. Like it's just like your exercise, okay? Everybody knows exercise is good. Nowadays, there is no one who would be saying exercise is not good. But if it was an uphill, everybody would take it because it's easy. We all find easy ways. So life is hard. Absolutely. And it throws things on you which you never expected. But I just feel if your faith is strong and if you're doing the right things for yourself, that's the most important thing. You have to do things for yourself. Then things fall into place. I mean, you're sitting here, I'm sitting here. It's not like things were put in in front of us in a golden plate. You have to work towards it. But you just have to keep on trying.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that's how I would put it.
So you mentioned exercise. Tell me, why is that a non-negotiable in the longevity conversation?
That's where all your hormones change, okay? Be it your happy hormones, be it your energy, the metabolic shift I was talking about, the insulin, everything changes when you exercise. So, and again, exercise is not like spending an hour in the gym. It's anything and everything which makes you happy and what you can do. So I'll have, women or other even male clients coming in. I take my son to the football. I don't have time for myself. I come from work. I need to spend some time with my wife. Go for a walk with your wife. Go for, some running when your son is playing football, So we all can do some form of exercise. And that's why it's a non-negotiable, because once you do that and your muscles take that positive energy from it, your high insulin will be swiped away with your muscles. And the thing is that, again, because right now we are fit, we're active, we don't feel it. But fast forward 10 years, in your 50s, even earlier actually, in your 40s, the muscle starts to decline. And on a ballpark, about 2% every couple of years, our muscle goes down. So that's what is sarcopenia, when you lose your muscle and muscle mass. Now, if you don't invest in it, suddenly in your 60s or 65, like our mums or elderlies, sitting in the chair, unable to walk, unable to stand from the chair, and now being dependent on others. So if you start investing as early as our children, but it's never too late, then you would feel that independence you want for yourself in the last 2-3 decades of your life, that will happen.
So tell me more about sarcopenia, because it keeps on coming up in the longevity discussion.
Exactly.
Is it that it's inevitable we're just going to be losing muscle as we age?
No, absolutely not. I think that's again, it's an assumption. But we have to work hard towards it, because yes, it's going to happen if we don't do anything. So on an average, if me and you do nothing, we're going to lose about 2-3%, say in a decade. Fast forward, when you're in your 70s, 80s, you will have hardly any muscle mass. So yes, it is going to happen. Hence, we need to work harder. That exactly what you said, that it's hard to to work hard. So if you work hard, if you are consistent, if you have a habit, like you have your morning walks, then it's not inevitable. Absolutely not. You can fight from it. It's just like the hormones. Like when women go through the menopause, they think, okay, the hot flushes are going to happen. I'm going to have a miserable life. Absolutely not. If you're exercising right now in your 40s, starting as early as whenever you can, but even if you start in your 40s and you sleep well, you eat well, you look at your protein intake, and just do about 30 minutes on a daily basis, you are not going to have even the hot sweats and the night sweats and the flushes which every woman. So exercise takes control of everything. Dopamine, like why are our kids constantly on TikTok? Dopamine, okay? And they can't get enough of it. If you exercise, you get your dopamine, you get your serotonin, you get your GABA. These are all your happy hormones. So you don't have to feel sad then. You are emotionally in control, and you will be able to tackle things which come your way, which are going to happen.
Completely. Makes sense. And you mentioned having that independence when you get older. And I remember reading a really interesting study, and I don't know how true it is, but they said that Caucasian adults in the West are more likely to be independent and mobile in their later years compared to people of color.
Yeah.
And I can't help but question, what are they doing that we're not doing? Or is it just genetics and biology?
It's a bit of both. So yes, genetics definitely plays a role. But remember, I said only 20% is genetics. The rest is all us. So I would say their lives could be slightly different from ours, because we do live in a family. Okay, so we start to depend on our youngers. Okay, so if you're sitting, hey, you ask my son, can you get me a glass of water? That's where the slippery slope starts. That's where you start depending on people. So you need to do everything for yourself constantly, consistently. So your different muscles are used to doing those things even when you age. So yes, the Caucasians, because when I was in the UK, I used to do home visits, I used to go to their houses. They will still go and get, even in their 80s, they will go to the corner shop and get the bottle of milk. When do we ever do that? When do our elderlies will ever do that? So that's muscle memory. They're constantly jogging their muscle memory. They're not giving up on it. Whether they have to do it because they have no other option, and we have an option of relying, that's where you lose that muscle memory and you start depending. So we need to constantly depend on ourselves and not on anyone.
Because it's breaking a mindset. Because in our background, there's an expectation that we will be dependent on our children because we raised them and therefore we have rights over them. So all of that, essentially, as you're saying, is detrimental to our own selves.
Absolutely. Our mind and physical health, both. Because, when you come up, when you get up and do things for yourself, it's a different shift in your mind as well. And then physical, obviously, as I told you, the muscle memory. So we have to take that shift. Me and you and people around us, we have to take that shift and stop that expectation. Because they have to live our lives as well, even our kids, because it's a different world these days. It's completely, the challenges are different. So stop expecting. Of course, you've raised kids, you would expect them to look after you. But even if they can come and have a cup of tea with you, that's probably better than they bringing the tea for you. Does that make sense? Because that social connection is better rather than them also feeling, okay, there's an expectation and I have to do it. You will see the difference. The bonding you will develop with your kid would be different when you stop constantly expecting in a different way. That's how I feel. I could be completely wrong.
No, I agree with you. So I have had a cousin who shared with me, she was complaining that her elderly father in his 70s was painting the whole house whilst her brother was just sitting there not helping. And I'm thinking, it's so great that your dad in your 70s is on a ladder and he's painting the household. Good for him.
Absolutely. Really, honestly, it's good for him.
Because you feel good when you do things for yourself. There's a real sense of accomplishment that I did it. I didn't rely on somebody else to do it.
And I think our parents want that. They want to be able to, like, moms want to still be able to go into the kitchen and make that favorite, dish they wanted to, even in their 90s. But we stop allowing them to do that. Mom, take some rest. Oh, don't go in the kitchen. Oh, it's too hot. Let them. I mean, my mom lives with me. My mother-in-law lives with me. I let them do whatever they want to because why not? Why stop them? Because they do get that pleasure out of making that biryani they want to make for their grandchild. Let them do it. Because nothing is going to happen. They've done it. They have it in their muscle memory. Okay, just give them a chair to sit in the kitchen if they get tired. But don't stop them. I would say do not stop them.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned food, which is a big thing in our background, in our community. And food is almost love.
Yeah.
And food is such a main part of whether it's a celebration, whether it's a bereavement. But I personally struggle to practice like preventative medicine or healthy lifestyle choices coming from a background where the food is sometimes very high in carbs, very low in protein. How do you navigate that?
Choices. Okay. And, what you set boundaries to yourself. So I'm not saying you can't enjoy them. Okay. But every day should not be a celebration. So absolutely. And it's not just in our culture. If you look in the local Emirati culture, it's the same every Friday. I mean, my clients say, I go, my mom cooks this amazing food and I cannot say no. In Spanish, it's the same. Mediterranean culture is the same. So food, I think, is big part of, many cultures. But is how you set boundaries to yourself. And how you enjoy those when you have to. So have a celebration on a weekend if you wanted to. But if you've kept yourself in check for 6 days, then nobody's saying you can't have, I don't call it cheat meal. I never use the word cheat. It's just, enjoying it with your loved ones. And then the rest of the days, you keep yourself in check. So you can create those things around you. Because see, at the end of the day, if I tell everybody that you have to stop eating this and you can't do this, it's not going to happen. Because we all are human beings. I myself give in to things which I enjoy. So you have to live a normal, balanced life. And once you've got that balance in consistency and have check and balances for yourself, you can enjoy anything and everything you want to. When you're going for a brunch, don't eat heavy the night before and don't eat anything in the evening later and go for an extra run. You can enjoy the brunch.
It can be done.
It can be done. Honestly, it can be done.
It can.
But everyday brunch is going to be a disaster.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But food, particularly, I remember talking to some members of my family who are actually insulin dependent, but they haven't changed their eating habits. And they actually say, taking away this food is almost like taking away life. This is life. And it's like, how do you begin to have the longevity discussion with people like that who see this as their heart and this is their joy?
Yeah.
And taking away their joy means I'd rather suffer.
Yeah, agree. And it's the conversations I have with people because they get their dopamine or their happy hormone from eating. Okay. So that's the conversation we need to have with them. That what else can you do differently to be able to get that? I think that's the conversation we need to have with them. Because again, we almost accept it. Because as you said, having that conversation might be hard work. Changing their mindset might be challenging. So we sometimes say, okay, if they want to have 2 parathas, let them have it. But I think if we challenge them, if we have a conversation with them, it's just like a smoker. When a smoker comes to my clinic, every single time he comes, I have the same conversation. But it's just constant reminding them sometimes makes that change. And maybe all your family might not change, but maybe a few might change. And if that few might change, then it's a trickling effect. Then the others will watch and see, they might change a little bit. And it's not all or none. Even if they stop having 3 bad days, that's good enough. Even if they start having a walk. So normally if people say, no, I'm still going to have my carbs, sorry, that's not happening. Then I tell them how to eat their meals. Have your vegetables first, have your protein next, then have your carbs. You can make that change. I tell them, can you walk for 10 minutes? Not a brisk walk, just moving around in your house. If you want to talk to your mom wants to talk to you, she talks to you while she's walking for that 10 minutes. So things can be changed. And if you have few of those things as well, you can make that change.
Because you live with you said your mother-in-law and your mother.
Correct.
So do you have those conversations with them?
We do, absolutely. My mother-in-law actually, she had brain tumor. And she had gained a significant amount of weight, of course, because you can't move. She's paralyzed on, or less movement on the left side. And when she came to me about 2 years ago, she was 20 kilos heavier than what she is right now. So I actually put her on a keto diet because with brain tumors, you can do keto diet. Not everybody, I don't recommend it for everyone, but for her, it's essential. She lost the 20 kilos and now she's still dependent on people, but she's mobile, she can go to the toilet, she can eat herself. So just that, having that conversation with her and she trusting me and putting her on some supplements, magnesium, vitamin D, optimizing stuff, it made a big change. So from where 5 people were looking after her in Pakistan and she was still unable to do anything for herself, here she's able to walk with 1 person now to the toilet.
I love that.
So it's again age, no age. You can change anything and everything, no cancer, no paralysis, everything can be changed. You just have to talk to them.
But it sounds like she had that mindset where
She
wanted to be independent and not accept that this is my circumstances, this is my life.
There you go.
She sounds like a doer.
Absolutely. Because how many of them would have said, okay, that's it. I'll just be on bed no matter whatever happens and that's it. So exactly. So kudos to her. So again, what I'm saying is if you have that conversation with them, like my mom, she's in her 80s. She takes her magnesium, her vitamin D, her collagen, whatever I tell her, she does it. Her protein intake, she used to hate eggs, but she started eating them because I explained to her the importance of protein and how the muscle goes down. So that's what I'm saying. If you have that conversation with them, sometimes it takes the shift.
It does. My mom's like that as well. Yeah. She's registered blind. But what's the most important thing for her is her independence.
That's it.
That I will cook this myself. I will walk there by myself. I will do it myself because she says this is what keeps her healthy. Absolutely. Rather than waiting for somebody who may take her or do it for her. Because that's what builds resentment ultimately, doesn't it? Because
100%.
people are busy.
100%.
People have their lives. People are generationally in a different place.
Exactly.
So we can't expect from them because it's really hard. So I think the mindset really makes a difference.
100%. So these conversations need to happen.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
And I think they definitely make a difference.
So you mentioned putting your a mom or your mother-in-law on the supplements.
Yeah, both of them are on.
They are supplements. Yeah. So tell me about for the listeners out there, which supplements are non-negotiable, regardless of who, man or woman, or where they might be in their life.
Okay. So my non-negotiables for anyone and everyone is a magnesium. Okay, and I normally say magnesium glycinate because usually in the night it helps you repair what we were talking about. It keeps your stress levels down, which everyone has, and it gives you a deeper sleep. So magnesium glycinate, that's my one non-negotiable, and you don't need to check your levels for that because we all have low magnesium in our body. A vitamin D, because most of us, I would say every one of us, never gets enough vitamin D, to be honest. So vitamin D is a non-negotiable, and you will never get excess of it unless you're obviously in the sun spending hours and then still taking it. And then omega-3, because omega-3 also sparks our memory, keeps us away from the brain fog. So these are my 3 non-negotiables. And then for all of us, whether you go to the gym, whether you lift heavy, creatine. So, if you do a combo of these 4 things, your brain health, your inflammation, your metabolic health, all will thank you. That's my non-negotiable. And then the rest, of course, I always say precision. So you need to get your biomarkers checked. So again, that's a different problem that people just go, you will tell them something and they'll, Alvina is taking it. Let me go and take it. No, it might not be needed for them. And then they do the multivitamins. Never do multivitamins because they will always have something more and always have something less.
Oh, wow.
So it's never a good way to do a multivitamin, in my opinion.
That's a blanket. People who want to be healthy, they'll get the multivitamin first.
There you go. Women's health, men's health, multivitamin. I never ever recommend that. Go get your biomarkers done. Have a baseline. You don't have to do it all the time. Get a baseline done. You will know exactly your diabetics or pre-diabetics as well, or even insulin resistant. everybody has low vitamin B12. Because if you have high insulin, your B12 will never be absorbed in your body. So just go and get that find for yourself, and then take those supplements which are required with those 4.
But do the baselines cover things like, say, the zinc or the things that you might not test?
So you, unfortunately, and that's also a big debate which we keep on having, with the insurance company, especially in this region, because obviously everything is covered by insurance, which should be covered. Prevention is not. So all the, as you said, the zinc, the copper, the cellular magnesium, the cortisol levels, the fasting insulin, they are unfortunately not covered by most of the insurances. But you see, if you want to go out for a meal with your family, you'll go and you will not spend less than $1,000 for sure on that meal. So if you wanted to spend an extra, 600, 700, 800 on yourself a year, get those biomarkers checked, which are not normally checked by your insurance, so at least you know where you stand. And then I think it's something which we can invest in ourselves.
It's a mindset, because we want to see the problem, we want to see the fire before we go and do something about it.
Go.
If it's not happening, or if you can't see it, it's really far away from our mind, so we won't be proactive to do something about it.
And that's the problem. That's why people say, why do we do prevention? Why do we, come to you and, spend hours knowing about ourselves? But as I mentioned, the car, if you don't know that the oil is finishing, you will not know it till it stops. And you don't want to be that, because, then I'm not saying it's irreversible, but it's going to become harder. If somebody becomes a diabetic, yes, I still feel diabetes is reversible, but it's created that inflammation storm in your body. So now you're going to be fighting against something which you could have done it way before. So why put yourself when you know for a fact that you can prevent it? That's how I would say.
Completely. And I think it also connects to our faith as well, where we're told that our body is an Amanah.
Yeah.
It's a trust. And I think for many people, we don't live in a way that honors that. We do take a lot for granted. We do abuse. How much can I eat? How much sleep can I deprive myself of? How hard can I work and not manage my stress until we get to a breaking point? And I just think this is the most precious thing that we have. So it's I was with my husband when he had such a difficult year, because he had his mental health suffered. So then his physical health suffered as well, where his sleep was impacted, his mood was impacted, and he could find no joy in life.
Yeah.
So this is what happens when your body suffers, right? When it's on the decline, nothing tastes good.
There you go.
Nothing feels good.
There you go. That's it, exactly. So it's gratitude, isn't it? Again, as you said, we take things for granted. Until it's too late. Until it's too late. And I think that's the mindset we really need to change. And that's where we started our conversation. That these days we know more about it. We have the luxury to spend a little bit extra as well. But we still are not changing it. We're hearing about it, but yet, because it's hard, we're not making that change. So why?
I think the system doesn't help, Dr. Rahat, because I feel a lot of people will be listening to this conversation and they'll probably go to their GP who might not be thinking in the way that you do. So how do you even advocate for yourself in a system that wasn't built with preventative medicine in mind?
You're right. And that's where the education comes in. That's where we, start talking to our colleagues, explaining them. But I think you need to be your advocate yourself, in my opinion, because, when you go and tell your GP or your family medicine consultant in the UAE and tell them, this is what I want for myself, knowing why you want it, I think they will understand. When you go to them and say, check for me, they might not be able to do it. But if you say, hey, my cortisol levels could be down or up, or I want my insulin checked, I think that they're becoming open to having this conversation. So we will have to go and have that conversation with them. They will not volunteer. That's I'm telling you right now. That's unfortunate.
It's a hard one, Dr. Rahat, because I think it does depend on who you see. So
Agree.
I have an autoimmune disease, and I went to see an endocrinologist. They will only look for their T3 and their TSH. But there's a reason why I don't go to them. I go and see you. Because you will look for things because you're looking at the whole picture.
That's true.
So I think we need more Dr. Rahats in the world in medicine.
We're trying our best through this, through education, through, teaching, having the dialogue. I agree.
So how are you changing the system from the inside? Tell me, what are you doing for the future generation and the future medics?
I mean, if you think, I'm one of the founder members of Emirates Lifestyle and Longevity Medicine Society. So every year we do a conference. We, about 200 plus people come and attend those. We did one last year. We're doing one again in October this year. So the idea is actually spreading the word around. And as I was telling you, it's not just one. I speak to one, and that the other one speaks to another one, and it's a spiral effect. So we're hoping that if we continue to educate people, scientific, of course, information, research papers. Of course, in my clinic itself, we're doing research of what we're doing, presenting it. So I think it's going to take some time, but the idea is there. More people are talking about it. So I feel we continue doing this, and we will make that change. It's hard, but it's happening. That's how I feel it.
So you're training also the next medics to incorporate more of longevity and preventative in their practice, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because again, if you look at it in just our training, maybe we get 2 hours on nutrition, if you think about it. So we are bringing now, as part of the society, we're bringing a fellowship program where, physicians who want to spend like a year, in longevity training, so to get their principles right, and we have a whole curriculum of X number of hours. So that's we're bringing this to the region. I mean, it's one of its kind in the region, especially in the world. It's only 3 countries are doing this, the fellowship program.
Oh wow!
So it's going to be one of its kind. So it's going to take some time. We're sitting here having this conversation, so I'm very, very positive that that it will make that change in the right direction. I don't want to give up. Like yourself.
You're clearly doing very well in what you do.
Yeah.
But I see the desire for the quick fix.
Yes.
Rather than just give me the medicine, rather than telling me to get up at this time and exercise and go to bed early and manage my stress and do 50 things. Because I feel we're also in a time where we want quick fixes. We want quick solutions, quick answers. And which leads me to also ask you about weight loss injections, which is something that everyone's talking about, everybody wants. And I had somebody in my family as well who was making inquiries about it. And I remember thinking, you're not even overweight. Just have to do a little something, tweaking in your life, and you could lose the weight. So what would you advise somebody who's considering it?
So a very good question. And as you said, everybody is talking about it, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you name it is full of it. And people are obviously talking to us about it. And honestly, I'm a big believer in it. But it's just an adjunct. Okay, so you need to be able to, so I would never prescribe it to anyone who just comes to me and says, hey, by the way, I want it. Never. Even if they are, severely obese to, mildly obese, because there are different classifications of obesity. I would always ask them to make the lifestyle choices as I told you about. You have to get your food right. You have to sleep on time. You have to start moving. You have to know how you're going to get your stress levels in check. Unless you do these things, I don't prescribe them. Because you will lose the weight, you will feel great, but you will stop, because eventually you have to stop. You can't be on it forever. And then you will regain all the weight back because you have only solely dependent on the injection. So please, to everybody who's listening, if you're just solely depending on it, thinking it's a miracle drug and it's going to solve all the problems, no, that's not the way it should be used. It should be just used as an adjunct, as I said. Get your primaries correct, and just use it if you have to, with obviously your physician, because people are just buying it willy-nilly from the pharmacies here, especially in Dubai, you can just buy it. So please don't do that. Do it the right way.
It's almost like you make them give a promise to you.
Absolutely.
It's not enough they'll just take it. You want them to know that they have to do all these things on the side as well.
100%. Absolutely. Because again, as you said, they lose muscle. So if they don't do it the right way, if they don't exercise, they're going to lose the muscle. And then they're going to blame the poor GLP-1 or Ozempic or Mounjaro for it. But actually, it's not the medication's fault. Yes, because that's how the mechanism works. But now if you're not going to move, you're going to lose your muscle. But I have clients who, hit hard, go to the gym. I don't see any muscle loss in them. And then I see the best results. So don't take an easy way, because that's the problem. We all find we want a shortcut. It's not a shortcut. Use it the right way. Get what your target is, but don't forget the primaries. The basics have to be there.
I mean, the fact that you can pick it up so easily shows how easy it is to take it as well.
Exactly.
And I think if there was like 10 steps before you could take it, then that would probably make it a bit harder as well for people to think.
And that's what the government tried. I mean, to be honest, some of them before were covered by insurance, so the government stopped it for this reason, because people were just using it without anything. So the government is really trying hard. Abu Dhabi, it's not that easy to just go to any pharmacy and get it. But people who want it, they do it. And the reason why we need to make it hard is because it's an easy way out. People do lose weight. I mean, there are some super users who can use 10 kilos in a month. But we don't want that.
No, if they're not healthy, what's the point?
Exactly. And you've not gone through the issue. What led to the problem. Find the why. Why did you gain the weight? Again, that's the thing. You don't find the why. That was it stress? Was it sleep? Was it the food? Was it the lack of exercise? So you'll do whatever you want to. You will lose that weight. But if you don't find the why, you're going to gain it back. For sure.
Which brings me back to this longevity discussion, is that it is harder your way, Dr. Rahat, because you will tell somebody to do 10 things.
Yes.
Whereas another doctor, conventional doctor, will be like, here's your medicine.
Agree.
For your problem.
It is hard. It is hard.
Your way is the way for people who are okay with hard.
Yes.
Okay with digging into their why.
True.
Okay with transforming their lives. Because sometimes I say to my husband as well, it feels like a full-time job.
I know,
Take your
exactly.
magnesium, wake up in the morning, go to bed early.
Absolutely.
Get your strength training, start breathing.
Yeah, but the way you feel then is just incredible, because I knew I'm coming here. I did my exercise in the morning because then I need to go home and my son is home. So, you have to get your priorities. So yes, it's hard. But is it hard? You need to find that. You need to, again, ask that question, because I work long hours. I go to work at 7, come home sometimes at 7. But I still find, to exercise. If I know I'm going to come home late, I'll do it after Fajr. So you need to get that priority right, because yes, it's hard for sure. But then you need to see, if I don't do the hard way, then you will be suffering, losing your independence, and not enjoying what you really want to. Because see, people retire and then you see they get all the diseases. Because they were on the go, the adrenaline was high, and they were younger, they were able to cope with whatever, but they compromised all of that for their work. They retire, and then now the inflammation storm hits, and then that's where they get the cancer. So do you really want for yourself? Not really.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
That is when you get sick. As
Exactly.
soon as you retire,
That's it.
like you'd be hit with a disease like a year or the year after.
Yeah.
Something almost like turns off in your brain. So like what happens to those people who get sick after retirement?
It's just the same thing as I was telling you, because you're on the go, your cortisol is on the go, you're not really, you're overusing yourself. That's how I would call it. You're not repairing yourself, okay? You're not having that enough sleep. You're on the go, but you're younger, so you're able to cope with it. Because when we were maybe in our teens, 20s, we could sleep for 5 hours and function properly. Mm-hmm. But you are harming yourself, not repairing enough. And then once you kind of slow down, and that now a decade of your age is added to your age, you just, inflammation hits and you're unable to reverse. And then that's where the problem starts. So again, it's hard, but if you need to see. So like, again, going back to money, I always take it back to money, because people somehow can relate to it. Because we always save, okay, I want to save some amount, because if I retire, I don't want to be, not having money. So we think about that. Think exactly the same way about your life. Because if you're not going to invest in your life, if you're not going to put things away a little bit, then the problem will start.
It's a strange mindset, because I think people are okay with spending on a holiday in the car and the house. But to ask them perhaps to spend on a blood test or something that's not covered by insurance, it doesn't make sense to them, because we're not used to it.
And they don't see anything, you see? Because human nature is you want something tangible. Okay, you go for a holiday, you see something, you enjoy, you go on a tour, you see it. Whereas a blood test, a biomarker, insulin is high. I'm not feeling anything. That's how we are. If we don't feel anything, good or bad, we don't know it's good or bad for us. That's the problem. So that's the mindset change, where you don't want to feel bad. You want to know it before you feel bad.
I agree. And I think for me personally, because I've been doing it for some years now, the protecting my sleep, the exercise, the morning routine, I know how I feel when I don't do it.
Exactly.
So now I'm hooked to the feeling that this gives me energy, keeps me happy, my family is happier. And when I slip, it's like everything falls down.
Exactly. And honestly, if I say to people like 24 hours you have, you just have to give 30 minutes to an hour to yourself. That's it. Like, most days, if you can't even do it every day, most days, if you can just give that to yourself, it is going to go a long way. Like, or even on a holiday, you can start your day with half an hour in the gym, or go for a brisk walk, or, meditate or something, do some, jumping jacks or whatever in your hotel room. Start your day with it. So if you're hooked to it, it becomes easier. Honestly, it's just a mindset. I mean, my husband never used to exercise. He's always a sporty, like in the playing tennis or squash. But if you ask him to exercise, he used to hate it. COVID, as you said, COVID came. I mean, he used to make fun of me because I've always ran and I've always used to exercise, even if it was freezing in the UK. He used to make fun of me. And then COVID came. He started running on the treadmill. Now you can't stop the guy because he does it every single day, regardless whatever happens. Morning, evening, night, holiday, whatever it is. So it's a mind shift.
It's an identity as well, isn't it?
It's how you feel with it. That sweat you get, the endorphins you get. You need to feel that feeling to be able to become hooked to it. That's how I say it.
I had a guest previously who shared that his wife was having chemotherapy and he was working out in her room, because he's like, this is what I do. Exactly. I don't know any other way.
There you go.
And also, somebody might think, oh, your wife's having chemo and you're focusing on your exercise. But the reality is, it's what got him through it.
Exactly.
His brain, it made him feel in control because everything else wasn't in control.
There you go, that chronic stress we were talking about.
So the mental health aspect is really overlooked too.
Absolutely, because that's the thing. And I mean, funny enough, coming back to cancer and chemotherapy, so just even bringing cancer and chemotherapy patients on their own, because, we start feeling sorry for ourselves, or the people around you start feeling sorry for you. But they need the support there as well, because they're chronically stressed. They have inflammation, storm going in their body. They're going through the chemotherapy. You name it, everything is going on wrong with them. But if they, in that time, exercise a little bit, go for their walk on the beach or whatever they can, the chemotherapy in the morning after a sunlight exposure works completely differently to if you don't do that. Okay, that little extra protein intake, that little extra social connection. If you do that, you would see that even the chemotherapy responses change significantly. So imagine in a severely sick patient that can make a difference. So for us, which, alhamdulillah, you're okay, how much it can give to you.
And it's like you said, you can just tweak it in your day. So
exactly.
The example you shared as well, my husband does that. He'll take the kids to football, but he'll be the one walking.
Exactly.
He doesn't have to stand there on his phone. He can be moving.
There you go. That's it.
For me now, it's too hot to go outside when I used to go outside. So I've got a walking pad.
Yeah.
And it's like I can do it anytime.
Yeah,
go upstairs for 10 minutes.
Absolutely. If you have a sedentary lifestyle, have a standing table. I have a standing table. And then every hour, you can just do 10 squats. You're making your coffee, you can do 10 squats. You can go for a bath. You can do 10 push-ups. You can, and we call this exercise snack. So it's not like you have to spend an hour to the gym, or you have to spend an hour for a walk. You can literally do, 10 minutes in your day, few times a day, and you could get it. And this is your exercise snacks.
So you shared these squats that you're doing and these things that you're doing. I have to ask, because this is a feedback I get a lot from my extended family.
Yeah.
You're crazy, you're extreme.
Yeah.
Do people say that to you as well?
Not anymore. They used to. But I think, again, that's my identity now. So, like now when I fast, and if there is a birthday at work and they bring a cake, they know I'm not going to eat it. So people ask me the question, how do you do that? But that's my identity, and people respect that. So you have to create that aura around you that people will respect you. They will keep that slice of cake for me, which I probably won't have it as well because I don't like sweets, but they will keep it for me and I'll take it home and I'll give it to someone else. But, you can do that for yourself and people respect you for that. So people will always challenge you. You're thin, people will say, oh, what's wrong with you? You gain weight, people are saying, what's wrong with you? Nobody around you is ever going to be happy. So what I tell my clients is you have to be happy within. You have to have those balances for you, what makes you happy. And ignore the surrounding. Delete it. That's how I say it. And if you do that, I think it makes your life so much easier. So people don't call me crazy. When I fast for 20 hours, they don't call me crazy. When I go for a run in the morning, even if I'm on a holiday, they're okay with it. My kids are okay with it now. So I think you just have to do that for yourself.
But initially, did you get that? You're extreme, you're obsessive, you're too much.
Initially, yes, of course, absolutely, 100%. You get that. But then once you continuously do that, After a while, it becomes easier.
Because I've actually said to my husband, can you not go in that circle and talk about your morning walk or your protein or what you're measuring or what you're weighing?
Yeah.
People are getting offended. Just choose your audience, choose your circle. Just talk about it with me.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the right answer is.
But maybe no, because maybe he'll be able to change that one extra person. Who knows? You never know. And that's like ibadah for us, isn't it? So even if yes, it's hard, but if he talks about it, and maybe one person changes and starts doing the 10 squats in the morning, for me, that's a win. So as long as he doesn't change in the wrong direction and keeps his, basics right, I think why not?
I mean, for sure, our environment does get impacted, like our children. They will look at a plate and say, where's the protein?
Yeah.
I didn't have protein with this. This is a problem. But we didn't think like that. Even recently, I remember sharing with my husband, I think we were in our 20s before we saw a bowl of rice and lentils as a bad meal.
Exactly.
That used to be good. That used to be healthy. Now it's like that causes havoc with our blood sugars.
I know.
That pure white rice with just some lentils on the side.
Absolutely.
It's not good.
Not good at all. Not good at all. And that's why that balance of that, salad with your Greek yogurt, with your lentils, and then a small portion of rice, that's okay. But we're used to rice and then some lentils and never have the rest. And that's where the sugar spikes. And yes, you're right. I mean, the kids are changing these days, which is a good thing. And then, as you said, yes, it's a challenge, but I'm so glad that our kids are talking about it. So my son, he does intermittent fasting. He's only 19, even in uni, because I had that fear that he's going to go and then he's going to eat the wrong things, the pizzas and the baked beans and whatnot. But no, actually. So he saw me doing all these years. And he intermittent fasts for as long as he can. He only eats one meal a day. His meal is only halal meat, which he finds from wherever. So you can do it. You can do it.
So you've raised your children with the same principles and mindsets as yourself?
Yes. And don't get me wrong. I mean, they've had their bad days when they were, growing up. And, we didn't know right or wrong at that time. So we didn't have a perfect food always on the dinner table. But as we grew with it, as I got aware of it, things evolved. So it's a shift we also did as a family.
So now, even in your absence, because your eldest is away at university, he will still... Because teenagers love their fast food and their fried chicken.
Yeah.
Is he still mindful and conscious?
100%.
Oh, wow.
100%.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and that's what makes me feel that we need to keep on doing it because we are changing a generation as well. So our kids see what we do.
I love
as
that.
well.
So was this just based on what he saw, or did he actively?
No, he actively did it again. Friends being around, everybody talking about it, going to the gym together. And here, it's safer. The weather is better, so they can do whatever. So no, I think it's a mixture. What they saw in the house, plus the surroundings, plus the friends. It was a mixture, honestly.
Did you ever get criticism from, say, friends or extended family as to let him eat? He's young. He's a boy.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Like...
Because as I said, when he was growing up, no, he had whatever, and he probably sometimes blames me as well. Oh, Mom, you gave me all the wrong things. So he does blame me that, if you would have not given me all of these things, I would have started much earlier. So no, he did not have the perfect, as we say now, it should be. He had everything, the donuts and the ice creams and everything. But then when he understood about it, the shift happened when he was about 17, when he was 17, 16, 17.
He's still young. He's still a teenager.
Yeah. So it's been a couple of years, but now he's, completely with it. He knows exactly what he wants to do.
Now it's impressive because I'm just imagining a teenager going out with his friends, going to parties, going to birthdays. So to be disciplined at that young age, is kudos to you.
Yeah, no, and then he will have that odd cake, but then he will go to the gym extra and do it. So, and that's what the balance is, isn't it? So any age can do it. That's my thing, that never say, am I too young? Am I too old? No age is a limit. Start whenever you can, like my mother-in-law, like my son, like all my clients. So I would say just start something. And that's when my diary come into place, is that, do something. Even if you can wash your berries with that, soda bicarb and filtered water, start with that. Because that's where your toxins are being less in your body. It doesn't have to be something big.
because that's what your longevity diaries are about, that there's so many things we should be mindful of, whether it's the oil or whether it's the plastic, but it doesn't mean we have to do everything.
No, absolutely not. It's that one little nudge, is the one little change you can make. I mean, I always say, if you have a plastic chopping board, next time you buy one, get a metal chopping board. It's not like you have to make every single change today. If you're buying a plastic water bottle, tomorrow try and buy a glass bottle. Buy a metal bottle and fill your own water. So it can literally be anything and everything from wherever you want. It's not all. It's just start from somewhere. That's how I would say it. Mm-hmm. And no day is perfect.
Yes, completely.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned the people in their retirement and they get sick, and it's because they were on and their cortisol, and they were just used to just being busy. How much of a role does having a purpose in your life play as well? Because I think to my dad, who's like at that age right now, he's going to turn 70 next year, and he doesn't want to let go of working because he feels, what am I going to do? What's going to be my life, and what's it going to look like? At least my job gets me out of bed in the morning, and I have to go to the train and I walk and all. And I have to ask, does that also play a role in making people get unwell after retirement as well, that their purpose of life goes?
Absolutely. And that's why you need to understand the purpose of life keeps on changing. It doesn't have to be the same. We can have, like as I said, my purpose of life I found is like this longevity diary, spreading what I know to the other people. It will change perhaps maybe when I get older. So you need to constantly dig for that purpose. It doesn't have to be the same. And as I earlier, as I was telling you, a new habit, if you do something new every 10 years, it sparks your brain cells. So before, when we were studying medicine, or even when we have a conversation, people will say, no, my brain cells are done. Neuroplasticity is what we call, which means the brain cells also form regularly, but you have to jog them. You have to spark them. If you kind of do the same rut on a daily basis, that's what happens. Like your dad, you're used to getting up in the morning, getting ready, going to work, doing the same thing, coming home, doing this, the same thing. Your body is in a rut. You stop that rut, things happen. So that's why you need to find a purpose, a hobby, something you enjoy, even if it involves growing some plants in your back garden and seeing them grow. That's a purpose. So you need to find that purpose, as small, as big as it looks like, to change the way you think in the next decade.
So it's like you're constantly renegotiating your identity.
Exactly.
That this worked for me for the last 10 years, and now and I find these transitions hard, because for the last 10 years, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
But then I got to the stage where my youngest was at 6 and she was at full-time school, but I wasn't losing that identity. They didn't need me anymore. They were at school all day, but then I was like, but no, I must do more.
Exactly.
I must tend to them more. I must make a bedtime routine more elaborate.
Yeah.
So for me to make that shift, I'll be honest, my husband made me do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it myself.
There you go. And that's what you need. So I'm glad to have a husband in your life. And, I hope everybody has this kind of checks and balances in their lives, and, somebody to look after them, because that's the most important thing. So if you want to start playing chess in your 40s or 50s, do that. If you want, as I said, go and, grow something in your back garden. Horse riding. I started horse riding a couple of years ago, which I wanted to do all my life, but I couldn't do it because, again, family, moving to UK, then moving here. Find that something you want to do. I have a 70-year-old Pakistani woman. She always wanted to do painting, but never had the chance. And then in her 70s, her husband forced her in Dubai, she lives in Dubai, that she must go and do it. And now she does painting and she loves it. So you need to find out for yourself, what is your purpose. Just don't let go that this is it. And a chapter is closed, a new chapter needs to begin. The book doesn't need to finish. It will only end when our life ends. That chapter needs to constantly change, whether it's short or big. That's how I say it.
This podcast is my new chapter right now. So it's like, who am I when I'm not a mommy? And it's like, I'm enjoying who I am when I'm not just a mom.
Exactly. And that's why now coming back to women, because that's where I feel that we think we just have to be this. We just have to be a daughter. We have to be a wife. We have to be a mother. No, absolutely not. Yes, we have to, and we have to excel in that because that's one of our purposes. But there is another purpose in life as well, which can easily go simultaneously with it. I mean, alhamdulillah, I'm a successful woman. I'm leading a clinic. My husband has always been extremely supportive. My kids have been amazing. So, it's like you have to kind of tell them that this is what it is. I'm going to be doing this. I mean, I only took 6 months maternity leave in England, went back to work. I needed all the support, but you need to constantly, you don't give in. You have to do it for yourself. And it's going to be hard. You're going to go full-time work. I was in training. I used to go, night shifts in the UK, come back, have a toddler at home. But you need to constantly do that for yourself. And that's why don't victimize yourself that I'm a mom or now I can't do anything. You can. You can. It's going to be hard. Of course it's going to be hard. But you need to find that strength around you, like you have from your husband. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
So when a patient comes and sees you, is this also some of the things that you address? Like, look at your purpose, look at your identity.
Yes.
Look at is this also part of the conversation as well?
That's why I always have 1 hour consultation with my client. It's not, we don't have a conveyor belt where I need to see 20 clients a day. No, I spend a whole hour, even more with them. And we go back, as I told you, I go back to where it all started. So we dig deep. So it's almost like a psychology session.
It sounds like therapy.
It's literally like therapy, because I think if I spend that hour with them, I find out about them so much that the next consults become easier, because then it's a relationship you built. Whether they have a dog or a cat, what's their name, how many kids they have, how are their deliveries, what do they do, where is their family, who cooks at home, who does grocery. We talk about every single thing, depending on what it's, going into. And I gather as much about my client as much as I can, because that helps me understand them. Because one thing I don't believe is being judgmental. Even if they are obese, for me, being judgmental is the last thing, because if they reached to that, there was a reason behind it. Just don't think that they overate and that's why they became like that. So I think that connection, that relationship, that rapport is what we develop. And I think that's the success to what I do. And I love it.
It reminds me of the Biopsychosocial model that I learned in my psychology degree. And I've always argued that the medical system is just biomedical, but you're in front of me telling me that, no, I will consider the environment.
Absolutely.
I will consider your background and your genetics and put it all together, because ultimately that's the way forward now.
Absolutely. Without that, because see, for me, my client, and I don't call them patients, I call them my guests or my clients, their success is my success. So if I'm not able to help them, then what am I doing? That's how I feel. And again, it's not a walk in the park. Some accept you, some don't accept you, some keep on coming back. It's a negotiation. Like you have with everything in life, with your kids, with your family, with your work, it's a negotiation we do. As long as you're willing to do it, I think it works.
I think if they've come to see you instead of an endocrinologist, I already see that they're thinking in a more holistic way anyway.
I agree. I think you're right. Yeah, I think they've taken that first step, and that makes it a little bit easier, to be honest, on my part as well. So you're right. It's relationship becomes a bit more easier that way.
Okay. So we started this conversation by talking about how your career is built upon understanding why illnesses take place in the first place. So for the listener who doesn't want to wait until they get sick, what's the one thing that they can do today for their health in the long term?
Respect yourself, love yourself, be patient, and put some boundaries, check and balances to yourself. That's how I would say it. Don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you what to do. Just dig a little bit deep, see what you want, find your purpose. And I think if you start thinking in that way, it becomes easier, in my opinion. So that's what I would tell because again, what fits for one might not be fitting for the others. But just as I always say, if you love yourself and give yourself respect, give a high five. I always say, give a high five to yourself first thing in the morning, that you're doing something good.
I love what you said about love yourself, because that looks very different to how social media portrays it. Love yourself means, dressing up in this way or doing this. But you're saying if you loved yourself, you would look after yourself. You would prioritize yourself.
There you go.
You would do the things that will make you healthy and well.
Exactly.
So
that's what I feel.
Really
Yeah.
fascinating way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So for the listener out there who wants to look after their health in a more holistic kind of way, and they would like to perhaps work with you, where can they contact you?
So I work at Pura Longevity Clinic at Sheikh Shahput Medical City. So they can find me there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Dr.
Of
Rahat.
course. Thank you for having me.